Happy Victory Tuesday. That's what we're calling this. John Gibson, you're a former BG player. All the players post-game were just talking about how they did this for alumni, how they did it for Bowling Green. As a former player, how proud of this team were you?
I was super proud. I've never, ever seen a situation where all of the balls bounced in a way. It was like the football gods were smiling on Dwight Perry Stadium. Like they were all conjured up by Phil Villapiano, who gave amazing speeches the night before and the alumni tent before. But I was, as proud as I was as an alumni, I was just happier for those young men to have that experience. David Konowalski being an older guy, he's got a MAC championship, he knows what Bowling Green looks like. But to see those younger guys get that experience of the fans rushing the field and them celebrating with their classmates and their teammates and then being able to say, yo, I got a WAR also. That's big. Like those games, I remember both victories over that team that I had over my career. I was 2-2, and that I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. And so these memories, I think what Coach said was very poignant afterwards when he said, this is something that when these guys are married with children, they're always going to get together and talk about, because after the game, I got together and with my guys and we talked about how we beat them 18 years ago and what all was going on at that time.
Yeah, I love that. And that quote sticks out to me so much, just how Coach talked about them leaving a legacy. You mentioned David Konowalski. 6 years he's been with the team. Yeah. I think he's been there the longest of anyone. Yeah. But you also got another defensive guy, Niccolo Tannen, who was also won that 2015 MAC championship. They said it's better than winning a MAC championship. Yeah. How do you put that into words?
Well, I think for them, they've already won a MAC championship. And it's funny because I talk to people about this and I say, even during our championship years, we didn't get over that hump. In years that we were 5 and 6 when I was there, we beat that team. Yeah. And so what winds up happening is, I understand why they would say that, because that was the one thing that they couldn't do with their career. There now is a capstone on their career that says, I've done everything that you can do at Bowling Green. I've won a MAC championship, I've beat that team, and I've gone to bowl games. They've done it all. With that being said, hats off to those guys. Like Nico played his heart out. I've never seen Nico play anything like
tackles,
that.
A couple of sacks.
Yeah, a couple tackles for loss. Yeah, Nico played his heart out. He earned that. He earned that. You know, he's a fifth-year senior. There's not many of those fifth-year seniors around there. And to see him actually have those moments in that game, that's huge.
Yeah, it is. And let's talk about just playmakers in that game. And the first one that comes to me, Brant Louie. He kind of came out of thin air. Who is Brant Louie? And you Google him, Brant Louie from Buckeye Central, and everything about his high school career, how he was just an elite athlete at everything, yet he never considered that he would play Division I college football. Here he is, breaking a decade-long streak of not beating Toledo. What did you see from Brant Louie Saturday?
Well, I saw Brant Louie be the athlete that he could be. You saw he's not an excellent passer. He's never going to be Dan Marino dropping the back to throw the football. He's not going to be Tom Brady. But he was accurate enough to get the ball on the receivers when he needed to. And actually, you know, we saw him make some mistakes when he tried to force a couple of balls in, because he's got a huge arm, doesn't necessarily have all the control. But you also saw Brant Louie be a decisive scrambler. You know, when he decided to pull the ball down, he pulled the ball down and go. You saw that athleticism. And you also saw the Q run game, which is something that we didn't see with Darius Wade. Brant Louie, I don't know if you've ever seen him, but, you know, he's got a future as a Chippendale when he's done. Like, the dude is actually cut from granite. Yeah. So it was great to see, because we've seen Brant Louie get passed over and over again. There's always going to be a new guy. But to see that the guy that broke this streak, I mean, he is the definition of a Bowling Green guy. He waited his turn, kept working hard, and when he got his opportunity, took advantage of it. That young man has made fans. It's impossible not to root for Brant Louie.
I know. And after the game in the press conference, he didn't even want to talk about himself. And I asked him, did he feel like he had anything to prove, that he needed to prove something? Like, why wouldn't you? You've been passed over so many times. He said, no, honestly, it's just all about the team. So Brant Louie, big team player, and I think you're right. He's a Bowling Green guy, which is awesome to see. Well,
yeah, he embodies what we are. He embodies what we are. Bowling Green we're not pretty boys. You know, we're not pretty boys. We're gritty. We're tough. We're hardcore. And that's what Grant is. He stuck with it. you can't say there's nothing you can't you can say everything about that young man. I mean, he's everything that you would want a quarterback to be. He's earned everything that he's gotten. No one's giving him anything. He came in as a walk-on from a D7 school. That's literally 4 kids away from playing 8-man football. Like you can't ask him you can't ask for much more from a young man. He's probably going to get letters of recommendation from everybody and their mama when he walks out of there.
Oh, I believe it. Absolutely. And someone else that really made a mark in that game, Davon Jones. Just, you couldn't stop him. He was like, he just found every single gap possible. Credit to the O-line who showed up. That coach wanted, that's what he wanted to see. An O-line show up. Davon Jones took advantage of it, and he was extremely hard to stop.
Davon Jones is such an anomaly. He's a ballet of Buffalo. I mean, he literally is a 235-pound guy, which I was when I was a player, but I didn't have those feet. I mean, his feet are amazing. His balance is amazing. And he really he did what a big back is supposed to do. He picked up the tough yards, the hard yards. He made people miss. He ran through tackles. He did what you're supposed to do in a situation like that. And Davon Jones is the reason why not having Andrew Clair hurts, but it's not been crippling because Davon Jones is so good with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, no word yet on Andrew Clair running back. Coach thinks maybe soon, but we're not sure yet.
If I'm Coach Leffler, I redshirt the kid.
Okay.
I would redshirt him. At this point, we've only got, 5 games left? There's no point in bringing him back when you can get a year. He played his freshman year, so he has a redshirt year anyway. Go ahead and redshirt the kid. Let him put on a little more weight. Let him get stronger. Let him get more acclimated to the program. Bring him back with 2 years to play. It's all the rage in college. They're doing it all over the country now.
You're right. And Coach says he's not going to comment much on the red shirt, but no, that would be a very wise decision. Another group that just stood out was the defense. Brian Van Gorder, Coach just took his hat off to Brian Van Gorder in the press conference Monday post-game. What they were able to do was hold Toledo to half the yards per game that they usually get. So what did the defense do so well Saturday? Defensive
line. Okay. It starts off with the defensive line. You saw Carl Brooks finally get in and get a sack. Nico Lawton lived in the backfield. David Konowalski made plays. You see DeMonte Hagler made plays. They were making, not only were they making plays with straight penetration, but you also saw them flowing down the line on wide runs, and the backside end is making tackles on wide zone. That's big time play right there. You saw them play inspired football. You saw Brandon Purse do what Brandon Purse does, knocking heads, letting people know, hey, this is a no-fly zone for you in this area. And then I thought that the defensive backfield really played well. I thought the young man, Jordan Alexander, the safety, true freshman coming in that moment, having to start for a fifth-year senior and actually, having an interception, a couple of big PBUs, that's huge. Juwan Hudson, they tried to pick on Juwan Hudson. They weren't able to do it as much. And I think more because there was great harassment from the guys up front. Dannie did not have a lot of time to throw the football. And then you saw in the third quarter, he goes out. And they bring in Carter Bradley, and then he goes out. And once those two guys go down, the game's over.
Right.
That was defensive line play. The defensive line, and then you had blitzers that were getting home. They did a great job. It was a total team effort, a total defensive effort. They did a great job.
Can we talk about special teams? Oh my gosh, they set the tone, I feel like, for the entire game.
Well, and I think that they were, special teams, they played well, but they also were the recipients of some of the most fortuitous bounces that you will find anywhere. With you got the snap, the bad snap, you got the blocked kicks, you got the blocked punt and the blocked field goal. But most importantly, and probably most painful for the Rockets, were the 2 muffed returns on the kickoff. When you're starting drives from the 1-yard line, you're literally looking at situations where the probability of you scoring goes down significantly. And that's exactly what that's what they had to go up against. And when you do that, and that's, again, there was nothing that anybody did on that. I mean, that's just, again, the football god saying the sun is going to shine in this young man's eye right now. That's what that is.
Yeah, no, I can see it.
But you took advantage of it. You were able, but you were taking advantage of it. And then the coach always talks about complementary football, and that's what it was. It was complementary football. You saw that the offense was able to get long, sustained drives, give the defense a break, and the defense was able to go up there and get off the field. The bar has been set high for this team now. After seeing this performance, there cannot be an emotional letdown. This is what we expect from this team every week, and if we don't get it, we as fans are going to be upset.
And you're preaching exactly what Coach Leffler said. He said this has to continue Monday through Friday. It just has to. In Central Michigan, coming up Saturday, 2 p.m. at the Doit. Bowling Green's underdogs, but hey, they got a big win. Baby steps. What are you expecting from the CMU team?
Well, I mean, I think the CMU team is kind of up and down. They've been up and down all season long. They beat up on Eastern Michigan, and nobody expected that. But then you see them lose some games that maybe you weren't expecting. You don't know what to expect because they were really down the last couple of years. So I think it's going to be a game where Bowling Green can get out there and win. But they've got to give us that effort that we saw on Saturday. I think they can play with everybody left on their schedule, save for maybe Western Michigan. They can play with everybody left on the schedule as long as they give what we saw on Saturday. If that is available, they can beat a lot of teams. They can beat a lot of teams, even earlier in the schedule. If they would have been able to give us that type of effort, I think, but at this point, those guys have got to be bought in. They've seen, I remember, it made me think about playing for Urban. And our guys, we bought in immediately, and we got our moment of we're doing the right thing against Missouri in our first game. These guys Saturday got their moment of we're doing the right thing. We just have to now bring it every single day.
Yeah, it's just what a win for recruiting-wise, for community-wise, and just these players' morale going into every single week. Just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that is a signature win. That is a program-defining win. Scott Leffler cannot go down from here. He can't go down from here.
I asked him to define a winning season in his Monday presser. He said, when you win a championship. So this won't be a successful season in his eyes.
No.
But I think it is. There's been very successful moments, which I don't know we could have seen at the beginning.
For a segment of the Bowling Green fandom, from a section of Falcon Nation, this victory makes all of the losing worth it. There's a section.
I think so.
I don't belong to that section.
Okay, well, I do.
I don't belong to that section at all. But there is a section of the Bowling Green fandom that says, hey, if we beat Toledo, I can live through the rest of this stuff. And I understand that thinking, but as a player, I want to go out and win every game, and I expect that the effort is there. And I don't feel like there's always been the mental effort. Physically, I haven't seen guys loafing, but the mental effort hasn't always been there, and that's been the problem on this season. But there's a section at this point. Scott Leffler has earned himself 2-3 more years. He's earned himself 2-3 more years with this victory.
And that's what he thought it would probably take to beat Toledo. And here he does it, year one. All right, real quick, got to get your score prediction. Central Michigan at Bowling Green.
I am riding a high.
Okay.
I am riding a high.
I like it.
I'm riding a high. At this point, I'm riding a high. I think Brant Louie builds onto his resume. I think he's going to be able to pull a 28-24.
Okay.
A 28-24
still
game. Yeah, still close. It's going to be a close game.
Okay.
It's going to be a close game. I think they're going to all be close. If Bowling Green, even because let's be real, this Bowling Green team is not super talented. So they're not going to go out and blow the doors off of anybody.
Do they need to?
No, they don't, as long as they get a W.
Okay.
As long as they get a W. That's all. You don't get style points in the NCAA.
That's okay.
Unless you're,
Unless you're like Justin Fields or Joe Burrows, I feel like.
Well, I think at those levels you do. Style points matter.
Yeah.
If you're not playing for a playoff, style points don't matter.
Just got to get the dub.
Just got to get the W.
All right, I love it. That's Sean Gibson. I'm Dannie Rogers. Victory Tuesday here for Bowling Green.